The sound of tools echoed inside the Lagos private airfield. Engineers moved around the billionaire's grounded jet, sweat dripping, voices tense. The silver aircraft sat lifeless under the morning sun. It's been 7 hours and nothing works. We've checked every circuit, sir. The turbine's fine, but it won't start. This makes no sense. A tall man in a navy blue suit stood near the jet, staring at his wristwatch. His face was calm, but his tone carried weight. Gentlemen, I have a board meeting in 2 hours. Fix this now. Silence. The engineers exchanged uneasy glances. One wiped his forehead. Sir, we've tried everything. We might have to fly in experts from Germany. Germany? Yes, sir. It'll take them at least a few hours. I don't have hours, he snapped. He turned away, frustration building, when a faint voice broke the silence. If you permit me, I can fix it. Everyone turned. At the far corner, a cleaner stood holding a mop. Her voice was calm, quiet. The team stared, confused. Who said that? It's the cleaner, sir. Cleaner? She's not allowed here. Get her out. Wait, the man said. What did you say? I said, if you permit me, I can fix it. Laughter broke out among the engineers. You don't even have clearance to stand near that jet. This is not a playground, young lady. The man raised his hand again. Quiet. He studied her for a moment, eyes sharp but curious. Tell me, why do you think you can fix what trained experts couldn't? I heard the sound when it failed, sir, she said softly. It's not the wiring or the fuel line. The compressor valve is slightly off position. Just 3 degrees. The team froze. One of the engineers frowned, then climbed the ladder toward the engine. He opened the side panel, checked, and turned slowly. She's right, sir. The valve housing is not centered. The hangar fell silent. Another engineer whispered, How did she even notice that? She must have heard it, one said quietly. She couldn't have, it's too subtle. The man in the suit stepped forward. What's your name? She hesitated. It doesn't matter, sir. Just let me try. He studied her for a long second. Then he nodded. Give her gloves. The engineers looked shocked. Sir, this is a multi-million-dollar engine. I said give her gloves, he repeated. The tools were passed slowly. The cleaner's hands trembled slightly as she put on the gloves. She knelt beside the jet and touched the engine gently, feeling the metal as though listening to it breathe. Minutes passed. The hangar stayed silent except for the faint clink of tools. She finally stood. It's ready, sir. The chief engineer blinked. Already? Yes. The man turned toward his team. Run the test. Everyone stepped back. Switches flipped. The engine coughed once, then roared to life. Gasps filled the hangar. The sound was smooth, steady, perfect. The man in the suit stared at the jet, then slowly turned toward the cleaner. She lowered her head, silent, her gloved hands still shaking. He stepped closer. You just did what my best engineers couldn't. The hangar remained still. For the first time that morning, everyone believed they had witnessed something extraordinary. The roar of the jet engine echoed through the private airfield, drawing curious eyes from the control tower. Mechanics rushed in from every direction. The sound was smooth now, clean and powerful. The billionaire's sharp gaze never left the spinning blades. The noise that had haunted the hangar all morning was gone. Unbelievable, one of the engineers murmured. She actually fixed it. Another whispered, and she's just a cleaner? The tall man in the navy suit folded his arms. Run another test, he said. The team obeyed. One flipped a switch, another adjusted the throttle. The readings stayed perfect. Stable pressure. No vibration. Temperature normal. The billionaire turned to the cleaner, who still stood at a distance, hands clasped in front of her, head lowered. You come here. She hesitated but slowly walked forward. Her steps echoed softly across the polished floor. The sunlight from the hangar door framed her thin figure, her uniform still damp from earlier cleaning, her shoes worn, and yet she carried herself with quiet grace. How did you know? He asked. She looked up, her voice steady but gentle. I clean this hangar every morning, sir. I always hear this jet. The sound changed today. The sound? One of the mechanics asked in disbelief. Yes, sir. Engines have a rhythm. When it breaks, it's not always something big. It's something small pretending to be big. The room stayed silent for a moment. Even the billionaire nodded slightly, intrigued. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small silver pen. What's your name? Amina, sir. The billionaire's lips twitched into the faintest smile. Amina, he repeated. Do you have any training in aeronautics? No, sir. My father was a mechanic before he died. He used to let me sit with him while he fixed old motorcycles. I learned to listen to engines. You listened? Yes, sir. Machines speak. People just don't listen enough. The engineers exchanged looks, half embarrassed, half in awe. The billionaire glanced toward his head engineer. You've been doing this for 20 years. Yes, sir. And you missed it? Sir, we followed every diagnostic protocol. The billionaire turned back to Amina. And she just used her ears. A soft murmur ran through the group. A voice came from the back. Sir, if I may, what she said makes sense. A compressor valve just 3 degrees off can sound like a damaged turbine under load. That's why our system flagged it wrong. The billionaire nodded slowly. So it wasn't luck? No, sir. It was precision. He looked at Amina again. You saved me millions today. Her eyes widened slightly. I didn't mean to save anyone, sir. I just couldn't walk away. Silence again, except for the gentle hum of the still-running jet. Turn it off, he said finally. The engine wound down, the great blades slowing to a stop. The air grew quiet. Amina exhaled softly. He gestured for her to follow him. Walk with me. They stepped out of the hangar together, the wind from the runway ruffling his suit jacket and tugging at her scarf. The sun sat high, gold and sharp. He spoke without looking at her. Do you know who I am? I don't, sir. Good, he said. Because most people act different when they do. They stopped near his car, a black Rolls-Royce Phantom parked under the shade. The driver quickly opened the door, but the billionaire waved him off. He turned back to her. You work here as a cleaner? Yes, sir. Since last year. Do they treat you well? She hesitated. I'm grateful for the job. That's not what I asked. She looked down. Not everyone believes I belong here. He studied her for a long time. You fixed my jet. You belong anywhere you choose to stand. For a moment, Amina couldn't speak. Her throat tightened. He glanced toward the hangar. Report to my office tomorrow morning. Sir, I'll have security let you in. But, sir, I'm only a cleaner. He interrupted softly, not anymore. He opened the car door, but before stepping in he said one last thing. You listened when no one else did. That's the kind of mind I need around me. The door shut. The engine purred to life. As the Rolls-Royce drove off, the wind caught Amina's scarf, lifting it slightly as she stood there frozen, half afraid, half hopeful. The engineers who had mocked her now looked at her differently. One walked up quietly and said, You really did it. She smiled faintly, tired but proud. It wasn't me. It was the sound. The jet reflected the sunlight, gleaming once again. The next morning, the city of Abuja woke under a bright sky. The glass towers of the central district shimmered as cars moved like silver ants along the wide roads. Inside Elixir Aerospace headquarters, the building buzzed with controlled chaos, secretaries running, phones ringing, and security men straightening their ties as the boss's convoy rolled in. Amina stood at the reception, clutching a small purse. Her uniform had been replaced with a simple cream blouse and a plain black skirt. Her hair was neatly braided and tied with a white scarf. She looked nervous but composed, her dark brown skin glowing faintly under the light. The receptionist glanced at her uncertainly. Can I help you, ma'am? I was asked to report here this morning. By who? By Chief Adewale. The receptionist froze, eyes widening slightly. You mean the Chief Adewale? Yes, sir, she said softly. Before he could ask another question, 2 security guards approached. Are you Amina? Yes. Please follow us. They led her through the shining hallways, past rows of glass offices where people in suits typed rapidly and spoke in hushed tones. The scent of expensive perfume and polished leather filled the air. They stopped before a tall door with a silver nameplate, Chief Adewale, Chairman/CEO. One of the guards knocked once, then pushed the door open. Chief Adewale stood by the window, phone in hand. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and elegant as ever, dressed in a tailored gray suit. His deep ebony skin gleamed under the morning sun pouring through the glass. "Good morning, sir," Amina said quietly. He turned, ending his call. "You came early." "I didn't want to be late." "Good. Sit." She sat at the edge of a leather chair, her hands folded tightly on her lap. He paced for a while, then faced her. "I had my team review the engine last night." She swallowed. Did I do something wrong, sir?" "No," he said simply. "You were right. The valve was misaligned. You saved us a potential explosion worth over 5 billion naira." Her eyes widened. 5 billion? "Yes." He paused. "How long have you been cleaning that hangar?" "Almost a year, sir." "And you never tried to tell anyone you could fix things?" "No one would believe me, sir. I'm just a cleaner." He sat down behind his desk. "Not anymore." The words hung in the air. She looked up, unsure if she heard correctly. He opened a file on his desk. "I'm offering you a position on the technical observation team. It's an entry role, but the pay is 10 times what you earn now." Her lips parted slightly. 10 times? "Yes." He slid a document across the table. "You'll start training under the head of diagnostics. Your shift begins next week." She didn't touch the paper. Instead, her eyes filled slowly with tears. "Sir, I don't have any certificates. I didn't finish school. My mother fell sick and I had to." He raised a hand gently. "You have what others don't, instinct. That's rarer than any paper." She covered her mouth, fighting the emotion rising in her chest. "You don't owe me anything," he continued, "but from today, I expect you to walk like you belong here. No one is doing you a favor, you earned this." She nodded, unable to speak. He smiled faintly. "There's one more thing." He pressed a button on his intercom. "Tell the HR manager to prepare an ID for Miss Amina Hassan." Her full name echoed through the room like a promise. "Sir," she whispered, "thank you." He leaned back. "Don't thank me. Just do your work better than anyone else." At that moment, the door opened and the chief engineer, Mr. Bello, walked in. He was in his 50s, dark-skinned with gray hair and a tired face. He stopped short when he saw Amina sitting there. "Sir," he said awkwardly, "you called for me?" "Yes." "Mr. Bello, meet Amina. She'll be joining your department." The engineer blinked. "Join, sir, she's a cleaner." The billionaire corrected. "She solved what you couldn't. I want her trained properly." The older man hesitated, glancing between them. "Sir, with respect, our work is technical." "She." "Then teach her," the billionaire said calmly. "That's what leaders do." Bello looked down. "Yes, sir." After he left, Amina rose slowly. "Sir, people won't like this." He looked at her directly. "When people don't like your rise, it means they once liked your fall." She smiled faintly. "You speak like my father." "What did he use to tell you?" "That a seed doesn't choose where it's buried, but it still grows." He chuckled softly. "Your father was a wise man." She nodded. "He died fixing a generator for a man who never even said thank you." For a moment, silence filled the office. The billionaire's gaze softened. "Then maybe today he gets his thank you, through you." Her eyes shimmered again. She whispered, "I'll make him proud." "I know you will," he replied. He stood, straightened his suit, and offered his hand. She took it hesitantly, her smaller hand trembling in his. "Welcome to Elixir Aerospace, Amina Hassan." As she walked out, the staff turned to watch her pass, some curious, some whispering, others smiling faintly. The cleaner had become something else entirely. Down in the lobby, she stopped, looking up at the company's golden emblem on the wall. It reflected in her eyes like a new dawn. She whispered softly to herself, God doesn't forget anyone. And with that, she stepped out into the Abuja sunlight, her shadow stretching long and sure behind her. Days passed quickly, and Amina's quiet rise began to shake the walls of Elixir Aerospace. Every morning, she arrived early, her black skirt neatly pressed, cream blouse tucked in, and her hair tied back with a small scarf. Her dark brown skin glowed under the fluorescent lights as she walked through the hangar carrying her small notebook. But not everyone smiled at her anymore. In one corner, a group of engineers whispered as she passed. "Can you imagine? A cleaner, now a staff. Na luck, my brother. Or maybe charm. Charm or not, the boss trusts her more than all of us now." She heard them, but didn't look back. Instead, she went straight to the workstation where Mr. Bello waited. He looked up, adjusting his glasses. "Morning, Amina." "Good morning, sir." "Let's test your observations from yesterday." She placed her notebook on the table. "The secondary valve still leaks. It's small, but if it's not fixed, it could heat up the fuel regulator." Mr. Bello raised his brow slightly. "How did you notice that?" "I listened to the hum." "The hum?" "Yes, sir. When it's steady, the air flows fine. When it shakes, the air struggles." He stared at her for a long moment, then smiled faintly. "You're learning fast." "I'm just doing what you teach me, sir." "Keep doing it. But be careful, people will start testing you, especially the ones who failed before you came." That warning came true before noon. Kunnel, a senior engineer with light brown skin and close-cut hair, walked in with a smirk. His white shirt was rolled at the sleeves, showing muscular arms and a gold wristwatch. "So this is our new genius?" he said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Amina kept her eyes on the tools. "Good morning, sir." "Morning." He laughed. "Sir me. You don't work for me, remember? You work for the big man himself." Mr. Bello frowned. "Kunnel's enough. Relax, old man. I'm just curious how a girl who used to mop this floor is now telling us what's wrong with the engine." The other engineers stopped pretending to work and started watching. Amina turned slowly to him. "With respect, sir, I'm not telling anyone what's wrong. I only show what I see." "What you see?" Kunnel stepped closer. "And what exactly do your eyes see that mine can't?" "The truth," she said quietly. The room went silent. Kunnel's smirk faded for a second, then returned. "You've got mouth, eh? Let's see how long you last here." He turned sharply and walked away. Mr. Bello shook his head. "Don't mind him. He's angry because he couldn't fix what you did." Amina smiled faintly. "My father used to say, if you want everyone to like you, don't grow." Bello laughed softly. "Your father was a philosopher." Later that evening, Chief Adewale arrived unexpectedly. His tall figure filled the hangar doorway, the deep tone of his voice cutting through the noise. Everyone stopped work. The engineers froze. Even Kunnel straightened instantly. He walked forward, his dark suit glinting slightly under the lights. "I've been reviewing the reports. The last test on the new jet was successful, thanks to Amina's correction." Heads turned toward her. He continued, "From today, I want every section head to submit reports directly to her before I see them. If she spots an error, we correct it immediately." The room buzzed with disbelief. Kunnel stepped forward. "Sir, with due respect." "No need," Adewale interrupted. "Respect is not in words. It's in results." The billionaire turned to leave, but stopped. "Kunnel, I read your report last week. You said the system failure was impossible to detect without new software." "Yes, sir. She found it without software." Kunnel's mouth opened, but no sound came. The staff around shifted awkwardly. "Learn from her," Adewale said quietly. "Don't fight what you should respect." He walked out of the hangar, leaving everyone speechless. When the noise slowly returned, Kunnel's jaw tightened. He looked at Amina with cold hatred. "You think this is over?" "I don't think anything, sir," she said calmly. "I just want to work." He walked away, his steps heavy. That night, in a quiet office, Kunnel sat with two other engineers, whispering. "She's making us look like fools." What do you want to do? One asked. Simple, he said bitterly. We'll show the boss she's not as perfect as he thinks. How? By making her fail, publicly. The next morning, when Amina came to work, she found her workstation rearranged. Some of her tools were missing, others replaced with faulty ones. She frowned, glancing around. Who moved my things? No one answered. Mr. Bello noticed too. Did you check your instruments before you start? I did, sir. Something's wrong. Before they could inspect further, Chief Adewale's voice echoed from the walkway above. I want a full test in 1 hour. Everyone sprang into motion. As Amina adjusted the valve system, the equipment sparked. A small fire burst from the pipe. She jumped back as alarms blared. Stop! Stop everything! Bello shouted. Connell came running, pretending to panic. What happened? Amina shook her head. Someone changed the coil. This isn't the one I used yesterday. Connell frowned. Are you saying we tampered with it? I'm saying something was switched. That's a heavy accusation, cleaner girl. Before she could respond, Chief Adewale walked in, surrounded by guards. What's going on here? Bello stepped forward. Sir, it seems the coil malfunctioned. Who was in charge of this section? Amina took a deep breath. I was, sir. The billionaire's eyes darkened slightly. You were? Yes, sir. But something. Enough. Everyone out. The hangar emptied slowly. When they were alone, Adewale turned to her. I trusted you. Sir, please. Not now. Go home. We'll talk tomorrow. She stood frozen, her throat tight. Sir, please believe me. Someone changed the setup. His voice dropped lower. Amina, enough. She lowered her head, tears threatening to fall, and walked out quietly. From the shadows, Connell watched her leave, a smile creeping across his face. The next morning came with gray skies over Lagos. The Elixir Aerospace compound felt colder than usual. Workers whispered in small groups. Everyone had heard, the cleaner girl who fixed the billionaire's engine had failed. Inside the glass boardroom upstairs, the tension was thick. Chief Adewale sat at the head of the table, dressed sharply in a black suit. His face was unreadable. Around him were his top engineers, including Connell, sitting with fake calmness. The door opened quietly. Amina stepped in. Her white blouse was neatly ironed, though her eyes were red from sleeplessness. She bowed slightly. Good morning, sir. Adewale's deep voice came low. Sit. She sat slowly. Her dark brown skin seemed dull under the fluorescent lights. The silence stretched. Finally, the billionaire spoke. You said someone tampered with the setup. Yes, sir. Do you have proof? Not yet, sir. But I know it wasn't the same coil I left yesterday. Connell leaned forward. Sir, with due respect, that's impossible. The hangar was locked. Only authorized personnel had access, and she's one of them. Adewale turned his gaze sharply to Amina. You're saying you were the last person there? I was, sir. But then the fault is yours. Her throat tightened. Sir, please, I only... Enough. His voice cut through her words like glass. The room fell into silence. Amina lowered her head, her hands trembling slightly on her lap. Mr. Bello, seated at the far end, cleared his throat gently. Sir, if I may. No, Adewale said without looking at him. We'll investigate. Until then, she's suspended. Connell's lips curved into a small smile. Security, Adewale said, still not raising his voice, escort her out respectfully. The guards stepped forward. Amina rose slowly. Her eyes glistened as she looked at Mr. Bello. I didn't do it, she whispered. He nodded softly. I know. As she was led out, the boardroom doors closed with a heavy thud. By evening, rain had started to fall again. Amina stood under the bus shelter, holding her small handbag close to her chest. Water dripped from her hair as thunder rumbled above. Her phone buzzed, an unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. Hello. Amina, it's Bello. Her eyes widened. Sir? I found something. Don't go anywhere. I'm coming to pick you up. Minutes later, His old Toyota pulled up by the roadside. She got in quickly, soaked. "What happened, sir?" He handed her a small flash drive. The CCTV from the night before the accident. Her heart skipped. "You got it?" "Yes." "The footage was deleted from the main server, but I had a backup." He inserted it into his laptop. The screen flickered, showing the empty hangar. Then, at 11:46 p.m., a figure entered quietly. Colonel. He moved straight to Amina's workstation, switched the coil, and replaced it with another before leaving. Amina gasped. "He did it." Bello nodded grimly. "We have proof now." She covered her mouth, tears mixing with the rain on her face. "Thank you, sir. But will he believe me now?" Bello sighed. "He has to. And if he doesn't, we'll make the truth speak for itself." The next morning, the company meeting hall was packed. Chief Adewale stood before the staff. The air was thick with tension. "I called this meeting," he began, "to address what happened yesterday. Our company's integrity must remain spotless." Amina and Bello entered quietly through the side door. Colonel's eyes widened briefly, then narrowed. Bello whispered to her, "Stay calm. Let me speak." He stepped forward. "Sir, before you make any final decisions, I'd like you to see something." "What is it, Bello?" "The security footage from the night before the incident." Colonel stood abruptly. "Sir, that footage was erased. It can't be trusted." Adewale frowned. "Sit down." Bello connected his laptop to the screen. The video played. At first, only the empty hangar appeared. Then the image of Colonel sneaking in came up clearly. He switched the coil, looked around, and left. The entire room gasped. Adewale's expression hardened. He turned toward Colonel slowly. "Explain this." Colonel's voice stuttered. "Sir, I was checking the equipment." "At midnight?" Adewale interrupted. It was routine." "Routine tampering?" The billionaire's tone rose for the first time. "You risked lives. You tried to destroy her work just to prove you're better." Colonel lowered his head, speechless. "Guards!" Adewale called sharply. "Take him to the police. He'll face full investigation for sabotage." The guards moved quickly. Colonel tried to resist, but they held him firm. Before being taken out, he glared at Amina. "You think this makes you special?" She met his eyes steadily. "No. It just proves that truth doesn't stay buried forever." The room fell silent again. Adewale turned toward her. His voice softened. "I doubted you." She looked down. "You had every reason to, sir." "No," he said firmly. "I should have remembered that talent doesn't wear a uniform." He stepped closer. "From this moment, your suspension is lifted. And as for your future, you're no longer a cleaner. You're officially part of our engineering research team." The room erupted in murmurs. Amina's hands flew to her mouth, eyes wide with disbelief. "Sir, are you serious?" "Yes." "You've earned it." Mr. Bello smiled proudly. "I told you the truth would speak." Adewale nodded slowly. "There's one more thing." He turned to the crowd. "Let today remind every one of us, pride blinds, but humility builds. This young woman showed courage, faith, and brilliance when all we saw was her uniform." He looked back at Amina. "You fixed more than an engine, you fixed what we had broken in ourselves." Applause filled the hall. Amina's tears flowed freely, but her smile was steady. She turned slightly toward Bello. "Thank you for believing in me." He chuckled softly. "Don't thank me. Thank your courage." Chief Adewale extended his hand. She took it with trembling fingers. "Welcome to the team, Engineer Amina Yusuf." The applause grew louder, echoing through the entire building, a sound of justice restored. Outside, sunlight broke through the gray clouds, washing over the company's flag. A new day had begun, one built not on pride, but on truth. Today marks a new beginning for this company. We are here to honor courage, humility, and excellence. And to recognize someone who turned failure into victory. When every expert gave up, when hope was gone, one person stepped forward with faith. No degree, no title, just the will to try. And that courage changed everything. You didn't just fix the problem. You reminded us what truly matters. This company would have fallen without your hands, your heart, and your belief. We are establishing a new division for innovation and skill. And you will lead it. Let it? You've earned it. Thank you. I never imagined standing here. You've shown that greatness can come from anywhere. This is not just about you, it's about everyone who dares to believe. A foundation will be created in your name. It will train cleaners, apprentices, and dreamers who have the courage to rise. Thank you. That means more than words can say. Your story will inspire generations. I only did what my heart told me to do. That is why you're different. You believed when everyone else gave up. Sometimes life breaks us to rebuild us stronger. You are proof of that. I came into this place with nothing, but I'm leaving with purpose. Grace is real, and it finds those who don't stop doing good. This is not my victory alone. It belongs to everyone who ever dreamed in silence. And now your voice speaks for them all. Let's rise to celebrate this new chapter, a chapter of faith and hard work. Thank you, everyone. May we never forget the power of kindness. We won't. This story will remind us forever. To humility, dedication, and the courage to say, I can do it. I can do it. To every cleaner, every worker, every dreamer, your time will come. Don't give up before your miracle arrives. To truth, to second chances, and to the rise of the unseen. To the rise of the unseen. True greatness isn't defined by titles, wealth, or status. It's defined by courage, humility, and heart. When the proud give up, it's often the humble who carry the light. Never look down on anyone, because the one you ignore today might be the one who saves you tomorrow. Every gift, no matter how small, has a purpose, and faith turns that purpose into destiny.